I always enjoy stories of movies where it's really difficult for them to just get the production started. They go to hell and back to make the movie, and then when the movie gets released, it's truly something magical and all that trouble was proven to be worth it. Today's film is such a story. Today, we're talking about the movie Fly Me to the Moon. Let's talk for a minute. The rating for this movie is an 8.5 out of 10. It is a light and fun film, but it also does a great job discussing important topics like the truth and trust, institutions, and conspiracy theories, like the infamous supposed Stanley Kubrick-led Project Artemis conspiracy theory that's referenced to in this movie. And actually there's a moment in this film where there's a wonderful set of lines that are said back to back by the advertising executive character Kelly Jones, played by Scarlett Johansson, where she says, "Truth is still the truth, even if nobody believes it, and a lie is still a lie, even if everybody believes it." This movie is set in the 1960s when NASA is trying to get both the American people and Congress's support for the Apollo 11 moon mission. Scarlett Johansson plays advertising executive Kelly Jones, who helps to sell this mission for NASA. Channing Tatum plays Cole Davis, the launch director for the Apollo 11 moon mission. A few other important details to mention about this movie. The film was originally supposed to be directed by Jason Bateman before he departed the project, causing Apple and Sony needing to look for a replacement director. Enters Greg Berlanti. And when Greg Berlanti joined, now they had a new director, so they were able to set up a new production schedule. But this new production schedule created a new problem. With a new production schedule created, the original lead man, not Channing Tatum, but actually Chris Evans, had to drop out. So now they lost their leading man, and what do? Enters Channing Tatum. This really is one of those movies where they went to hell and back just to get the filming started. But as you will see when you watch this movie, all of that drama, all of that stress was completely worth it. The leads in this movie and their director deliver something truly wonderful here. And now for the pros and cons of this film. First, the pros. Greg Berlanti. Let's talk about this guy for a second. He is a seasoned veteran Hollywood pro. This writer-producer, it is his fourth time in the director's chair for a feature film, and again he presents a masterclass in storytelling. One other really important thing with Mr. Berlanti is to show how much respect and trust that he has created in the industry for himself. He pretty much himself set up the entire DC comic television universe for the CW channel, including shows like The Flash, Arrow, Titans, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Superman, and Lois. And by the way, when I said The Flash, I don't mean that dumpster fire movie that came out earlier. I'm talking about the very successful multi-season series on the CW. And if that weren't enough, I also want to let you know that he is the one who created the very popular show You with Penn Badgley that originated on Lifetime, but then skyrocketed in popularity once it was acquired by Netflix. It's entertaining and is entering into its 5th and final season on Netflix. And aside from this very talented director, you have a really wonderful lead cast with Scarlett Johansson, who is also producing the movie, and you have Channing Tatum. They're funny, they're charming, they have good chemistry together in this movie, and they add depth and heart to the film as well. Oh, and I'm definitely not going to forget the fantastic supporting cast in this movie too. You have Woody Harrelson. We do need to come back to his character in a moment. Ray Romano, who brings it in this movie. And then I also need to mention Jim Rash, who plays a very funny character as the director character in this story. That's all I'm going to say there. But he is funny and also actually has some moments of heart in this film too. The movie looks beautiful and is beautifully shot by Dariusz Wolski, who is known as a regular cinematographer for Ridley Scott with movies like Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and The Martian. My dude bringing in the good music for this movie is composer Daniel Pemberton, who is known for his music in the Spider-Verse franchise. Awesome 2 movies if you have not seen them, by the way. And for the soundtracks from the series Slow Horses, the 2015 Michael Fassbender Steve Jobs movie, and several Guy Ritchie movies as well. And now time for the cons. The cartoonish villain with Woody Harrelson's character. Woody Harrelson is still good and menacing and at times funny. I mean, come on, it's tough to not like Woody Harrelson and the roles he plays. But still, and maybe I'm just being a bit of a grump as I get older, but this character is really paper thin. Look, I get that this is not exactly how the mission of Apollo 11 went down. I get this story is more of a vehicle for talking about important themes and topics while being a lighter, happier entertainment movie overall, but come on. this role needed a little more to it. The other negative is not so much about the movie itself, but more about how this movie was treated. This movie is another victim of having its theatrical run limited because it's a movie that was originated at a streamer, Apple in this case, in partnership with Sony for theatrical distribution. You can read in a recent New York Times article that Apple, along with all streamers now, are cutting back on their theatrical rollouts, including the budgets for those rollouts. So these movies now are in theaters maybe for a week, if they're lucky, and then they are made available shortly afterwards for rental and purchase. The next step is usually that within 2 months, it will be actually made available to watch on the streaming platform that it originated from. Again, Apple TV Plus for this movie. I hate this so much. Let me be clear, I absolutely hate this. I know it's a direction and evolution that movies and the film industry are going through now, but I still hate it very much with every fiber of my being. So many movies in the last 2 years have died before they even had a chance for success at the box office. Now, while this movie had a decent running time of 2 hours and 12 minutes, it still had a risky budget of $100 million. And to date, it has pulled in a global box office of $42 million. Yeah. Switching back to a happier note though, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think it would have done fantastic with a proper rollout in the movie theaters. Call me a whiner if you want, but a great story told by a great director with very capable and popular actors. How was this movie not a success? Unfortunately, it's a combination of effects from streaming and extremely fierce competition over people's attention spans. All of that being said, this movie is one of my favorites from this year. I stand by the 8.5 rating from before. This movie is a bit of a usual rom-com. It's hammy, cheesy, formulaic, and yet it worked. This movie was great. Fly Me to the Moon is available to rent and buy now. I hope you check it out. Thank you for listening.